All right.
Have you heard of Buzz Aldrin's cycled orbit to Mars idea?
The Aldrin Cycler.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to do a video about that eventually.
Absolutely. It's really cool. He developed this whole thing where you can kind of like get into orbit of like sling yourself out to to Mars, loop around one of the Mars, moons or something. Like it's this whole crazy thing. I read it a long time ago actually. But
yeah, it just uses the physics of the orbit, and it's just like this. The way it was described to me was like as you approached Earth, you could get rid of mass with, dropping off people and supplies and stuff. And then you would add mass by, adding supplies and people, and like that difference in mass helps to kind of propel it out back to Mars again or something. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. I haven't really dug into it yet, but all that made me think of it. So I brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so speaking of going to Mars.
Oh, okay.
This is the most.
Is this me?
No. This is the most loop-de-loop segue I've ever done. When I was talking to Andy Weir last year, I was talking about like how do you. What's that?
I love that sentence.
Yeah, I feel cool saying it. I'm not gonna
I was talking with Andy Weir,
my buddy Andy. No, but one of the things that we talked about was like how do you avoid getting cancer with all the radiation between, the cosmic rays once you leave the Earth's magnetic shield and then you get to Mars and all that kind of stuff. And he said that he thought that the way to fix that is to cure cancer. Just cure cancer.
No big deal.
This was a terrible segue. But one of the things that, has been promising in terms of like getting to a place where we can, solve cancer and whatnot is CRISPR. We've heard about CRISPR quite a bit, CRISPR-Cas9. So there is a story that we'll get to eventually that is that's on CRISPR. So the deal with CRISPR, it's gene editing, and so you can like fix somebody's genes before they're born. But if you already have a condition, like how do you fix that condition by fixing somebody's genes, right?
I never understood that.
You kind of already stuck with it, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because there's been a couple of experiments that have happened recently where they've been able to treat people with inherited diseases with CRISPR-Cas9. So like this is actually pretty cool. What's that?
Like sickle cell anemia? It looks like that's what they have.
Yeah. So right here it says 2 people with beta thalassemia and 1 with sickle cell disease no longer require blood transfusions, which are normally required to treat these, after their bone marrow stem cells were gene edited with CRISPR. So I'm not just going to completely read this story to you or anything, but the way they basically did it was they pulled out their bone marrow, not all of it, but some samples of bone marrow, and then they did some CRISPR-Cas9 stuff to it. So it's basically there's something called fetal hemoglobin. And there's a gene that turns that off once you stop being a fetus. So what they basically did was they turned off the gene that turns that off with CRISPR. And this solves the problem of the sickle cell and the, what's it called? I can't. Beta thalassemia. Yeah, anyway. So they were able to take bone marrow cells out, do this CRISPR treatment to it, then multiply those, insert them back into the body, and they don't need blood transfusions now to fix this problem. Now it's only 3 people so far, so obviously it's still in the early stages. Here's the brutal part, though, is they still have to like wipe out all the bone marrow that was causing that problem in the first place. So they have to go through chemotherapy to kill off their regular bone marrow so that the CRISPR bone marrow can take hold.
Oh, and I hear bone marrow transfusions are like the most painful thing in the world anyway.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So not fun, but it's good news.
I mean, that's one of the things I've always wondered is like, I feel like that's the thing that I just never got is if, sure, you can change a gene and like, go through your DNA sequence and fix something once. Mm-hmm. But there's trillions of cells in our body or whatever with all of their DNA. Like, how do you get it then to transfer between all the cells and fix a symptom? And like, if someone has like a physical deformation or something, and they say they have a hand that has short fingers or something, right? And all of a sudden you fix their DNA.
Discolored eyes.
Yeah. Like, is it going to change my eye color?
Some major deformity, like different colored eyes.
Screw you guys. I'm going.
Absolute hideous. I mean, just terrible.
But like, if how would it change? Stuff like that, or say someone had. Well, this is totally different, but Down syndrome with a extra chromosome. Like, could you remove? Like, can you edit?
I mean,
tell me.
Physical thing like that. I don't think so.
You'd have to get it to change the DNA. That's why they still have to do the removal of the bone marrow, right? Is because they can't have it change the existing bone marrow.
Now,
it might be.
Go
ahead, Joe.
ahead.
Is that Zoe in the background?
Yay.
That's Jake. Jake's getting stir crazy.
Hi, Jake.
He's like, I got to fart over here now. Well, so one of the ideas, like you're talking about getting that tweaked DNA into the entire body, is to implant it into a virus, to basically use a virus to spread it throughout the body, because that's exactly what a virus does. It gets into a cell, changes its DNA, and then multiplies itself. And in fact, I'm going to talk off the cuff here, so I'm sure I'm going to get some details wrong, but they were able to use an edited HIV virus to...
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, to cure some type of blood cancer. Yeah.
HART, it's called. HART.
Oh, there you go.
AIDS-related lymphoma treatment.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, and so what you do is you send it into something like that spreads without the actual thing that would kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, this is how some vaccines work too.
Right. Just neutered,
there's like
neutered viruses, basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it could change existing DNA though. I don't know if we've got that. Right. I think that's maybe a step beyond. And this is just like this whole conversation is with my knowledge of it. But yeah, CRISPR was always a thing where I looked at it as like, and now we have separate like genetic species, because rich people are clearly going to have this and poor people are not, and so maybe that's where Elon got the name for their kid from. What? It was the name of the model number. Oh,
For the CRISPR thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a CRISPR model number. It wasn't a human.
This particular gene model. No, there's actually a video semi in the works that I'm kind of noodling around. Is sort of how like genetic editing could lead to a new form of eugenics, basically. Like what's the ethics around that,
And eugenics was the Nazi thing, right? That's why.
It wasn't strictly Nazi, but I mean, like around the turn of this last century, like it was all about keeping the races pure.
But wasn't that what they used for their rationalization of killing off different species or people? Was they're inferior.
Well, they took it to the extreme, but that was a really popular belief at the time.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah, like that was the.
Well, the video I did on John Harvey Kellogg.
Right.
I mean, he was ahead of his time in so many ways in terms of diet. Well, sort of.
Oh,
and,
right.
And then like in exercise, like he was one of the first people to promote exercise, but he also was like super into eugenics and even wanted to. No, he wanted to create a national pedigree board that determined who could like mate with who.
Whoa.
In the United States. Like he was lobbying for that.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I feel like we're almost there
that's
again.
extreme,
like
but it wasn't that extreme at the time. Like people really believed that stuff that hard.
I bet if I would not be shocked if I logged into Facebook and saw that on my dad's feed, as like what the mainstream media is not telling you.
Yeah.
Presented by Coca-Cola.
Let's just go backwards further and further. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this clip from our show. If that's just not enough for you and you want to watch the full episode, you can go to olfpod.com/YT.
And if you want more from us, you can consider becoming a Patreon member. You'll get early access to episodes. You can join our awesome community. You can actually watch us record live and get your name in the credits by going to olfpod.com/Patreon.
So thanks everyone for watching. Check back every Friday for new clips here and new episodes on the main channel.
Thanks, everybody.